After lending my SIL $10,000 to save his business, I got a letter in the mail from a lawyer he was suing me for emotional damages because I asked him to repay me. My daughter called screaming, "You made him feel attacked." The next day, my bank account was frozen. That's when I decided to show them who they were dealing with. My name's Diane. I'm 57, live alone in Spokane, Washington, and until a year ago, I really thought I'd been a decent judge of character. I worked 32 years as a nurse, raised my daughter mostly on my own after my husband Rick passed away. Rick was a quiet man. Steady. Hardworking. Cancer took him fast, and it took a lot out of both me and Tessa. But we got through it, or so I thought. Tessa was always the kind-hearted one. Sensitive. When she met Levi, she fell hard. Said he was ambitious and had big dreams. From the start, I saw red flags. He bounced from job to job, always talking big, but never really following through. He opened up a car detailing shop 2 towns over, somewhere near Cheney. I didn't say much. I figured she was old enough to make her own choices, even if I didn't like them. A year ago, Levi came to my house. Alone. He sat on my couch and started telling me this sob story about how the IRS messed up something and he owed back taxes, that it wasn't his fault, that it was either pay this lump sum or lose everything. I didn't say anything at first, just let him talk. I could smell the desperation on him. Then he said the number, $10,000. That's what he needed. I paused. That was all I had saved. Literally all of it. I'd built that up since Rick died. It was my safety net. But then, Tessa called that night. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Please, Mom. He's really trying. He just needs a chance." Against every instinct I had, I wired them the money the next morning. Not even a thank you from Levi. Over the next few months, I kept my distance, waited. I figured it would take him some time. I didn't want to pressure him, but I started to worry. He was still posting on Instagram about grind life and stacking paper, but never mentioned anything about repayment. I asked Tessa once, just casually, "How's the business doing?" She said, "It's fine. Levi's got a big contract coming. He'll pay you back soon." That was it. Another 3 months went by. Nothing. So I finally asked Levi directly. Just a text, "Hey Levi, just checking in on the loan. Any updates on repayment?" No reply. 2 days later, I sent another message, "Hope everything's okay. Just want to touch base about the money." Still nothing. I felt sick. I wasn't even angry at first, just ashamed. Like a fool. Then came Tessa's birthday. She invited me over. I showed up with a card and a little gift, trying to keep the peace. Levi was there, laughing with his friends, holding a bottle of Modelo, acting like nothing had happened. I pulled him aside. "Any word on the loan?" I asked, keeping my voice low. He chuckled and said, "Don't worry, we've got you. Just a little behind, but it's all good." That was his answer. That smirk. I went home that night shaking. That week, I sat down and wrote him a formal letter. I laid out everything clearly, the date the loan was given, the agreement, even if it wasn't written. And asked for repayment within 30 days. It wasn't rude. It wasn't threatening. I printed a copy and mailed it to their house. 5 days later, I got the envelope. A legal notice. From a lawyer. Levi was suing me for emotional distress. I must have read it 10 times. Said I had engaged in a pattern of harassment and caused irreparable emotional harm to his mental health through financial coercion. I thought it was some twisted joke. That night, my phone rang. It was Tessa. She was hysterical. "How could you?" she screamed. "You threatened him, Mom. You made him feel like a failure. I sat on the floor with the phone in my hand, stunned. Tessa, I said, I asked him to repay a loan. That's all. You don't understand. You made him feel attacked. He's already under so much pressure and now you're adding to it. I didn't even recognize her voice anymore. She hung up before I could say another word. Next morning, I woke up early. Made some coffee. Checked my bank account like I always do. There was a big red notice at the top of the screen. Account frozen. Legal hold. That money I'd lent them was under review. I called the bank, and after being transferred 3 times, a rep told me that a hold was placed due to a pending civil suit, Levi's. I almost dropped the phone. That's when I knew. This wasn't some emotional overreaction. This was a move. A plan. They were trying to break me down. Levi was trying to make it look like I was the problem, like I was some bitter, unstable old woman coming after him. He wanted to win, legally, financially, emotionally. So I called Art Delgado. Art's been around Spokane for years. He doesn't advertise much, but people know him. He's the kind of guy who takes no crap and doesn't care about your feelings, just the facts. I told him everything. The loan. The texts. The birthday party. The letter. The lawsuit. He listened. Then he asked, "Do you have records?" "I've got everything," I said. He smiled. "Good. Let's go after them." Art didn't waste time. By the next morning, he'd filed a counterclaim. We weren't just going to fight Levi's nonsense lawsuit, we were suing him back for breach of contract, fraud, and abuse of process. Art explained it all clearly. They wanted to play games. Now they're going to get dragged through every inch of it. He had me pull every bit of communication I had with Levi and Tessa. Every text. Every email. Even Facebook messages. I printed screenshots, receipts, everything. Art's paralegal put it all in a binder. It was thicker than a Bible. Meanwhile, I was still locked out of my own bank account. My checks bounced. I had to cancel 2 bills and go down to the bank in person to explain what was happening. The manager there pulled up the hold and gave me this look, like I was the criminal. That night, I sat in my car outside the grocery store, crying. Not just over the money. It was the betrayal. My daughter, my own child, was siding with this man. And now, I was scraping by while they played house in that new condo Levi claimed was an investment opportunity. The next week, things got worse. I got a call from Human Resources at the small clinic where I still worked part-time. Someone had submitted a formal complaint against me. It said I was mentally unstable and harassing family members and maybe shouldn't be working around patients. I was stunned. They didn't say who filed it, but I didn't need to guess. Art looked at the complaint when I brought it in. "This is retaliation," he said, flipping through the pages. "And it's sloppy. We added defamation to our lawsuit." But then something unexpected happened. A woman named Krista messaged me on Facebook. I didn't recognize her name, but she wrote, "Hi Diane, I used to work for Levi at his shop. I saw your post. I think you should know some things." At first, I was cautious. I asked her if she'd be willing to meet. We grabbed coffee 2 days later at a diner just off Division Street. She looked nervous but determined. She told me Levi had been writing fake invoices and using Tessa's name to apply for small business grants, federal ones. "I quit when I found out," she said. "He asked me to lie to some people, and I wasn't going to do that. But I saw your name on one of the bank transfers. That's why I reached out." I could hardly breathe. Art took her statement, added it to the case, and then said we might be dealing with more than just a civil case, there could be federal crimes involved. Still, Levi kept playing the victim. Tessa posted a long status on Facebook about how families should support each other and how some people want to control everything with money. I knew it was about me. She even made a GoFundMe to help Levi defend himself from legal bullying. I couldn't believe it. They were painting me as some heartless old woman, when all I'd done was give them everything I had. Art told me to stay quiet. Let them dig their hole. Every lie they post becomes evidence. Then we got a break. The court ordered Levi to produce financial records. He stalled for weeks, but eventually had to turn over documents. That's when we saw it. Less than 2 weeks after I wired him the $10,000, he spent $2,400 on a home theater system. Another $3,100 on a trip to Las Vegas. The rest? Who knows? I was sick. Meanwhile, I hadn't heard Tessa's voice in over a month. I called her just to talk. She picked up. "What do you want?" she said, cold. "I miss you," I said. "You're my daughter. I want to fix this." She paused. Then drop the lawsuit. My heart cracked. She didn't ask about the money. She didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't ask if the account freeze had ruined my bills. She just wanted me to roll over. That's when I knew. My daughter was gone, at least for now. Levi had gotten into her head, twisted everything. But I wasn't rolling over. Art was getting ready for court. He was fired up. "This won't just be a win," he said. "We're going to expose them." Just when I thought things couldn't sink any lower, I got another letter in the mail. This one was from the IRS. It said I was being audited due to suspicious income activity tied to my name and social security number. I almost dropped the envelope. I didn't understand at first. I hadn't even had any income besides my part-time clinic job and my late husband's pension. I took it straight to Art. He sat down, looked through it, and then stared at me. "Diane, this is tied to Levi. That woman Krista was right. He used your name." Turns out Levi had filed some type of fake small business documentation listing me as an investor in his detailing shop. My social security number. My name. My address. He filed for a COVID-era grant last year. Over $15,000. He'd gotten it. In my name. That's why I was getting audited. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Art leaned in, voice low and serious. "This has crossed a whole different line now. This is fraud. And it's federal. We're going to the authorities." I nodded, numb. He filed reports with both the IRS and the State Attorney General's office. We handed over Krista's statement, the fake financials, and the newly discovered documents that proved Levi forged my info. Within days, an investigator called me for a formal interview. I had to relive it all again, every detail of how I'd been conned, sued, humiliated, and betrayed by my own flesh and blood. Meanwhile, things on Tessa's end were spiraling. The GoFundMe they set up? People started asking questions in the comments. One woman wrote, "Didn't Levi just buy a new car last month? Why is he asking for money?" Another said, "Why is your mom being dragged like this when it was a loan? Something's off." The page got shut down 2 days later. Then came the worst twist of all. Late one night, I got a message on Facebook. No name. Just a throwaway account. All it said was, "You should know, Tessa's pregnant." I froze. I didn't even know if it was real. I hadn't spoken to her in weeks. I sat on that message for a full day before I broke down and texted her. "Is it true?" I asked. "Are you really pregnant?" She replied the next day. "Yes. But don't think that changes anything. Levi's my husband. We're a family. And you tried to ruin him. No excitement. No emotion. No warmth. Just a wall." I stared at the screen, shaking. My first grandchild. And I wasn't even allowed to be happy. Levi had poisoned everything. Art warned me to stay focused. They're going to use the baby to try to shift sympathy. It doesn't change the facts. He stole from you. Lied. Filed fake documents. He'll answer for it. But it still hurt. God, it hurt. A week later, the IRS cleared me. They found enough evidence to confirm I'd been impersonated, and they said their fraud division was opening an investigation into Levi. That same day, the bank finally lifted the hold on my account. I had access again. But the damage was done. Then came the first court hearing. Levi showed up in a light gray suit like he was on Shark Tank, not about to answer for a mountain of lies. Tessa was by his side. She didn't even look at me. He smirked at me when he walked past. I didn't flinch. Ard handed the judge everything, copies of the forged loan application, screenshots of the texts where Levi promised repayment, Krista's affidavit, and the proof of how he spent the money. Levi's lawyer tried to claim the money was a gift. Ard shut that down in seconds. Then why did he tell her he'd pay her back? Levi got caught lying on the stand. Said he never promised anything in writing, but we had the messages. His tone changed fast after that. But the best twist? The investigator from the state's financial crimes unit showed up that same afternoon, sat quietly in the back row, just watching. Art leaned over to me and whispered, "We're not done yet." Not even close. A month later, the court set a full trial date. Art told me this was our chance to bring everything into the light. No settlements. He needs to be exposed in front of a judge. I agreed. The weeks leading up to the trial were brutal. I barely slept. I kept thinking about Tessa. About the baby. About how everything good between us had been burned down over a man who saw me as nothing but a wallet to squeeze dry. But I stayed quiet. I stayed patient. And I let the system do what it was built to do, if you're willing to fight hard enough. When we finally walked into that courtroom, I didn't look at Levi. I didn't look at Tessa. I looked straight ahead. They came in acting like celebrities, matching outfits, confident posture, like they were about to win a big prize. They didn't know what was waiting for them. Art laid it all out in court. Every message. Every receipt. Every lie. The judge asked Levi directly, "Did you tell the plaintiff you would pay the loan back?" Levi stammered. "Well, we had a verbal understanding, but," the judge cut him off. "Did you or did you not accept $10,000 from her with the promise of repayment?" He looked over at Tessa. She nodded, barely. He sighed. "Yes." You could feel the air leave the room. But that wasn't the end. Krista was called to the stand. Calm, steady, firm. She told the court how Levi bragged about playing the system, about lying to get government grants, and how he forged documents using my information. The courtroom went silent. The prosecutor from the state's financial crimes division was sitting in the back again, taking notes. The judge noticed him and asked to speak privately with both attorneys. They stepped out for 20 minutes. When they came back, the judge's tone had shifted. "Due to new information," he said, "I am referring this case for criminal investigation." Levi's face turned white. He leaned over and whispered something to his lawyer. His whole body was shaking. I stared at him, cold. "You tried to ruin me," I thought. "You stole from me. Lied about me. Turned my daughter against me. Now you'll face everything you ran from." The final verdict? The judge ruled in my favor. Levi was ordered to pay me the full $10,000 plus damages, legal fees, and emotional distress, totaling over $28,000. But the real punishment was what came next. 2 weeks after the ruling, Levi was arrested. He was charged with identity theft, fraud, and submitting false documents for federal grant money. Krista's statement and the fake application with my name on it sealed the deal. Tessa tried to post a statement online defending him. Said it was all a misunderstanding, and that people were out to destroy a good man. But no one bought it. His business was shut down. The grant money had to be paid back, with penalties. And since they'd spent most of it, they had to sell their car, their condo, and almost everything else just to stay afloat. And Tessa? When Levi went to jail, she finally called me. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message sobbing. I didn't know, Mom. I didn't know it was that bad. I'm so sorry. I didn't call her back right away. I needed time. 2 weeks later, I did. We met at a diner halfway between our places. She looked thin, tired, scared. Pregnant. She cried the whole time. Told me she'd believed him, trusted him, loved him. And now she had no job, no home, no husband. I listened. I didn't yell. I didn't lecture. I just said, "You're my daughter. And I will always love you. But love doesn't mean ignoring the truth." She nodded. And that's how we started rebuilding. It's slow. It's not easy. But we talk now. She sends me updates on the baby. I go with her to appointments sometimes. As for Levi, he's serving a 2-year sentence in county jail. His name is mud around town. Nobody wants to hire him. His record will follow him forever. He tried to ruin me to cover his lies. He used my daughter. He used my money. He used my name. Now, I've got it all back, and more. He lost everything. I gained my daughter back. And one day, I'll get to hold my grandchild in my arms and tell them this: sometimes, the hardest thing in life is standing up for yourself. But when you do, you show people exactly who they're dealing with.